Erev Tov, everyone. Erev Tov. And welcome. It is Monday night, Memorial Day. That's true. It is Memorial Day, and it is Monday night. This is the House of Seven Beggars. Therefore, it must be Zeyde Story Corner. That's right, Zeyde Story Corner. The last one for the summer. Exactly. Yeah. This will be our last broadcast until the summer. We will return the second week of September and continue on with our stories and so on and so forth. Let us check and see what we got in the chat room. We have our good friend Richard and Kelsey Lynn, Donald, Shlomo and Shoshi, Marshall, Guy, Veronica, and yeah, good group. More to come. Exactly, more to come. Yes, this is our last broadcast, as we have for a number of years now. At the end of May, we stop our broadcasting for the summer, and we go fishing. Well, yeah, we do. We go fishing, and we generally take some time off to do some other things. So, like going fishing and doing some other things. So, what are you going to be doing this summer? Probably go fishing. Yeah, okay, probably go fishing. Yeah, we do that quite a bit together. Anything else? So I keep writing my book. That's true. You do have a book that you're writing right now, which is a book of Musar for young people. Hopefully that will be out this fall. Yes, God willing. Yes, very much so. Hopefully. And I hope you all have plans to have a good summer. And of course, we'll be back. We'll be back for like the second week of September. We'll be back for 2 weeks. And then we are going to take another break because we have the high holy days, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot and all of those things going on then. And then we will return with our regular broadcast schedule. Let me get you onto your camera so you can get on with telling some stories here. With any luck, the camera will behave tonight. Yes, let us hope that's going to be the case. Okay, so let us have a good time tonight as we tell the last of our stories for the summer. No cliffhangers, though. We won't do any cliffhangers now. Okay, so this first story is called Reb Herschel and the Goose Leg. Did we do this last week? I don't remember. I don't think we did because I've got it bookmarked, so I guess we didn't do it. I think maybe we did, but anyway, it's a good story, so we tell it again. Okay, so one Friday when Reb Herschel Ostepoler was 8 years old, he crept into the family food locker, stole a leg from a roast goose, and ate it. Soon afterward, his mother went to the locker and saw that one of the goose's legs was missing. She knew at once that it was her son's work. So she gave him a scolding for taking the leg without permission, as well she should have. Okay, maybe the goose only had one leg, said Reb Herschel. His mother replied, "Where have you ever seen a one-legged bird?" Well, that evening, Reb Herschel went to synagogue with his father. As they were walking, Reb Herschel saw a stork standing on one leg. "See, father," he cried, pointing at the stork. "Mother says there are no one-legged birds." "That bird," replied his father, habitually stands on one leg, and his other leg is hidden beneath him. See, watch me. I drive him off, and you'll see. The father picked up a stone and threw it near the stork. The bird quickly lowered its other leg and flew away. So you see that your mother is right. Ah, said Reb Herschel. Now maybe if you had thrown a stone at the roast goose, you'd have seen the other leg. Yeah, I know. It's a little odd. Okay, so the next story is another one about Reb Herschel. Okay, this one a little better. This one actually have a lesson to it. Okay, this is called Herschel, Osterpoiler, and the Shabbat Kaftan. Now, if you don't know what a kaftan is, it's a special kind of a coat. It's not a bekisha as I wear and as the rabbi wears. It is a little bit different. It is worn open. It's very ornate and very decorative. In fact, you have a number of kaftans. Yes, I do. I do have a number of kaftans. So, yeah, so it is very pretty coat, and it's worn for special occasions like weddings and festivals and things like that. Okay, so now you know what a kaftan is. So it happened that a hungry Herschel Osterpoiler came to a town one day. There he learned that the town's richest man was marrying off his only daughter. Thought Herschel. It wouldn't hurt to look in on the wedding. But the rich man's servants refused to let in such a ragged man into the house. So Herschel Osterpoiler hurried to a friend's house and begged him, with tears in his eyes, to lend him his Shabbos kaftan. The friend took his new kaftan out of the chest and let Herschel put it on. And when Herschel went back to the wedding, he was welcomed and seated in a place of honor. But no matter what good things he was given to eat or drink, he emptied them out on the kaftan. Finally someone said, "What are you doing, Herschel?" "I'm only doing what is proper," Herschel Osterpoiler replied. "After all, it's the kaftan, not I, that's being honored here." Okay. So now we are going to tell some stories of Helm. I'm sure everybody has heard stories of Helm before. So here you go. This is Why Helmites Are Fools. Once upon a time, a new Torah reader, a Balkoreh, came to Helm. Just as the annual cycle of reading from the Torah was to begin. The Baal Koreh was not much of a scholar, and instead of reading Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim, in the beginning God created the heavens, he read Bereshit bara Elohim es hashoetim. In the beginning, God created fools. And since that time, for better or worse, Helmites have been fools. So now you know. Okay, so Another story of Helm, an origin story, I guess. Since no angel ever has to perform two assignments at once, one angel carried a jar filled with intelligent souls, while another angel carried a jar filled with foolish souls, so that every town could have its town full. One day, the angel with the jar of foolish souls happened to be passing Helm. Since the region thereabouts has many hills and many valleys, the angel lost his footing, slipped, and spilled the whole jar near Helm. And since that time, all Helmites have been fools. So there you go. Okay, this next story is called A Shofar in Helm. This is a kind of funny one. One day, a stranger arrived in Helm, a very muddy town, and lost one of his boots in the mud. He looked everywhere, but couldn't find it. Later, a Helmite found it. But since no one in Helm wore boots, people didn't know what it was. So they took the boot to the rabbi, and a meeting was called. Everyone looked at the boot, and the rabbi declared that it was a shofar, a ram's horn, because a shofar is long at the bottom and round at the top. So the Helmites placed the boot inside the Aron Kodesh, the Holy Ark in the synagogue. It happened that the same stranger came back to Helm and went to the synagogue to pray. When he saw his boot in the Holy Ark, he cried, "That's my boot! Let me have it!" But the Helmites wouldn't believe him. They shouted that it wasn't a boot, it was a shofar. Well, they took the quarrel to the rabbi, who ruled that the boot was a shofar. But the stranger should be paid 18 zlotas just for the same for his distress. And that's what was done. The stranger was paid 18 zlotas, and Helm blows the shofar with a boot. Can you imagine such a thing? Okay. So here we have another story of Helm. Lots of stories about Helm. Okay. I'm sure you've probably heard some of these before. So I see Kat Belcher-Brown has joined us. Good to see you, Kat. Okay. You know, maybe you should get a boot to blow on the Rosh Hashanah. I don't think so. It would be funny. Yeah, well, it might be funny, but it probably wouldn't be proper. Oh, well, I tried. Okay. No boot for Rosh Hashanah, huh? Nope, no boot for Rosh Hashanah. Okay, well, your decision. Okay. This one is called The Hill Pushed Away. There was trouble in Helm. No kidding. I mean, there was always trouble in Helm. Yeah, I know that. Let's get with the story. Okay, well, anyway, we come back to the story. So, there was trouble in Helm. There was no water. People who wanted it had to go to a well several versts away. In summer, you could die of thirst. The people of Helm decided that no one could go on living like that. a solution had to be found. There had to be a closer well. So they decided to push away the hill that stood between them and the well. The entire village took sticks and spades and pushed. They pushed and pushed, but they couldn't tell whether they had budged the hill. So they decided to take off their jackets and put them in a pile in a wagon. Then the pile could serve as a marker. So that's what they did. They took off their jackets and they pushed and pushed. But while they pushed, they couldn't see what was happening behind them. What was happening was this. A rider came by and, finding a wagon piled with coats, he harnessed his horse to the wagon and he drove off with it, clothes and all. The Helmites, meanwhile, kept pushing. At last, one of them turned around and saw the wagon load of clothes was a long way off. So they all stopped work and gazed at their marker, which was moving farther and farther into the distance. They concluded that the hill had decided to move of its own accord. Thus, there was no point in pushing anymore, because the hill was moving toward the well by itself. They went to get their clothes, but no matter how much they walked, they couldn't overtake the wagon. To this day, the Helmites have no jackets, and they still hope to overtake their marker. So what you think of that, huh? Okay, this next story is called How Helmites Light Up the Night. The Helmites were troubled by the night. When it was dark, they often fell and broke their arms and legs. One day, they heard of a man from Vilna saying that even the nights in Vilna were bright. So they held a meeting at which they formed a fine plan. First, they had to wait for the moonlight night. Finally, it came. And what a night! A night of nights! The moon shone so brightly that it simply begged to be blessed. So they blessed it in the proper form. Then, seeing the moon's reflection in the barrel of water, they took a board and quickly nailed it over the barrel. Later, when it was the new moon again, and the night was pitch black, they opened the barrel, meaning to take their moon out of storage. But, lo and behold, when they looked into the water, there was no moon to be seen. Alas, alas, they cried, someone has stolen our moon. Okay. This story is called The Melamad's Trunk. A Melamed is a teacher. Okay, so, in the synagogue in Helm, this is inscribed on the bima, the platform for which the Torah is read. The Melamed is forbidden 3 things. He may not live on a hill. He may not have a suitcase on wheels. And he may not eat strudel. Oh, I could not live there. That is for sure. I do love my strudel. Okay, so you see, it had been the custom in Chelm for boys to be examined orally Friday evening on their lessons. One Friday morning, a Malamade came to tutor the son in the Chelmite house. He noticed a strudel in the kitchen and asked the servant, "What's that?" "A strudel," she replied. The Malamid went home and, giving his wife 2 coin, told her to bake a strudel. Instead, she used the money to buy her son a pair of shoes. When the Malamid asked, "Where is the strudel?" she told him what she had done, and he flew into a rage. Now, as it happened, there was an open trunk on wheels standing nearby. The two of them quarreled so fiercely that they fell into the trunk. The lid closed, and the trunk began to roll. And since their house was on a hill, it rolled with all possible speed until it reached the market square. When people saw the rolling trunk, they set up a hullabaloo. They shuttered their shops and ran to the synagogue, where they caused the shofar to be blown. Finally, in God's good time, the trunk stopped rolling. The rabbi and all the town's Jews moved hesitantly toward it. When the trunk was opened, the Melamed and his wife leapt out. And that's why the rabbi and the community leaders established the 3 rules and caused them to be inscribed on the bima of the synagogue. So there you go. What is a hullabaloo? A hullabaloo is a big mishigas, huh? Okay. A big bunch of craziness. Okay. This story, a lot of short stories about him. Okay. This story is called The Rolling Stone, not the band or the magazine. I don't know. I thought it was funny. Okay. There is a huge stone on a hill, high hill in Chelm. It happened once that the Chelmites wanted to move this stone down from the hill. What did they do? They gathered up the entire population and started to drag this stone. When they had dragged it halfway down, a stranger went by. Seeing what they were doing, he laughed at them. "Why are you dragging the stone?" he asked. "Just give it a shove. It'll roll downhill by itself." The Helmites heeded the good advice, dragged the stone back to the top of the hill, and they pushed it, and it did indeed roll to the bottom by itself. So, I guess they're not quite so foolish after all, huh? Okay. This story is called A Cat in Chelm. We read this story and then we take a break. Okay. I know you probably need a break. You have been laughing so very hard at these stories about him. So, okay. So, A Cat in Chelm. People in Chelm didn't know about cats. and they lived with mice crawling in and out of every nook and cranny. At mealtimes, each householder had a rod at his table to drive the mice away. When one day a stranger came to Helm and described a creature he had seen, and an animal called a cat, which, if it was introduced into a house, drove the mice into their holes. The town of Helm asked him to find such a creature, and then brought the cat from him for an enormous sum of 18 zlotas. But the Helmites didn't know that a cat could run away. Well, the cat was put on watch in a house, and the town people were delighted to see that it scared off the mice. But one day someone left a window open, and the cat took it into its head to leap out onto the roof. So the Helmites called a meeting. They call a lot of meetings there in Helm. Yes, I know they do. Well, we finished the story. Okay, so I get back. I get a little distracted sometime. Okay. So the Helmites called a meeting to figure out how to catch the cat. They decided to set the house on fire to make the cat jump to the ground. So they burned the house down. But the cat sprang to the roof of the next house. So, as you might imagine, they burned down the second house too. But the cat sprang to the roof of a third house. So they burned the third house down. And so on, until they destroyed half their town. What do you think of that, huh? Okay, maybe one more. This is a very short one, so we read this one, then we go on break, okay? This one is called Helmites Who Refuse to Tread on Snow. Once upon a time, a stranger came to Helm and was taken ill. He needed to be led to the hospital. But it happened to be winter, and the Helmites, who dearly loved the whiteness of snow, didn't want him to spoil it with his footprints. So they called a meeting. Of course, they always call a meeting. So they called a meeting to discuss the problem. At last they arrived at a solution. They put the sick man on a board, and 4 of them simply carried him to the hospital. That way he didn't make any tracks in the snow. Hey, okay, so we take out a break. When we come back in 6 minutes and we find out what else these Helmites are up to, okay? Okay. Stay tuned, we'll be back in 6.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
It's intermission time, folks, so hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right over to our refreshment center for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, mouth-watering goodies, everything from a snack to a delicious full meal. At our refreshment center, you'll find a large variety of goodies to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, or your sweet tooth. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Visit our refreshment center now. The show starts in 5 minutes. The show starts in 4 minutes. The show starts in 3 minutes. The show starts in 2 minutes. The show starts in 1 minute. with the show.
There's a lot of talk about that video in the chat room, isn't there? Yeah, there is. I don't think I've seen that much chat about that break ever. So, anyway, so I have a question for you. You do? Okay, what's your question? Did your relatives come from Helm? No, my relatives didn't come from Helm. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Did anybody in your family live in Helm for any period of time? No, nobody in my family ever lived in Helm for any period of time. Now, why would you even ask that? Well, I was just wondering. You see, where is your wife? My wife, she's gone to see my aunt. Well, I thought she went to see your aunt earlier. Well, yeah, she did, but she left her phone at my aunt's house. Okay, so she had to go back and get their phone. That's true, yeah, she had to go back and get her phone. So, when your aunt found out that your wife had left her phone at her house, what did your aunt do? She called my wife's phone to tell her that she left her phone at her house. I rest my case. Okay, let us go on. Okay. So, this is a very short one. This one is called the Sundial. It happened once that the people of Helm made a sundial. Oh, that's a good thing to do, yeah. But a rainstorm came along and drenched it. So the Helmites, probably after having a meeting, so the Helmites built a roof over the sundial to keep it from getting wet. Brilliant, huh? Okay. This one is called a Helm compromise. It happened once that the Helmites had to build a new ritual bath, a mikveh. When the frame was finished, they turned their attention to making the floor. It was at this point that a quarrel erupted, and they broke up into two groups. One group said that it was necessary to plane the floorboards so that people shouldn't get splinters in their feet. That's a good idea. Yes, it is. The other people held that the floorboards must not be planed. Otherwise, they would be too slippery and people would fall. Finally, they decided to consult the rabbi and do whatever he told them to do. Well, the rabbi of Helm listened attentively to what each side had to say, and he ruled as follows. Of course, the floorboards ought to be properly planed, but to keep people from slipping, they must be planed. They must lay the planed side down. Oh, this is a really smart rabbi, huh? Oh boy, I wonder where he got smicha from. Okay, well, maybe not. Okay, well. Okay. A bridge in Helm, this one is called. A river flowed right through the middle of Helm. You know, if they had a river that flowed through Helm, why did they have to go and to the well that was on the other side of the hill? I wonder, huh? Anyway, maybe it's a non-canonical, huh? I don't think so, but I mean, knowing Helm, they would probably think that the well is for the purpose of drawing water to drink and use and stuff like that, and the river is just a river. Well, that could very well be. Okay, so anyway, a river flowed right through the middle of Chelm. It occurred to several merchants that a bridge over it would be good for business on both sides of the river. But some of the younger people objected. They said, of course it would be nice to build a bridge, but let's not do it because it would be good for business. We should build it solely for aesthetic reasons. Aesthetic means for looks, huh? Just so that it looks nice. Okay. We'll be glad to contribute to the building expenses for beauty's sake, but we won't give a penny for the sake of trade. Still, I could make a comment about kids today, but I will not do that. Okay, so still others, even younger people, said, the bridge, that's a good idea, but not for the sake of trade or beauty, but to have some place to stroll back and forth. We'll be glad to contribute money to building a bridge for strolling. And so the three groups began to quarrel. And they are quarreling still. And to the present day, Chelm does not have a bridge. So there. Okay. Everybody is very chatty in the chat room tonight, huh? Okay. So let me know when your wife gets home. Oh, quit worrying about my wife and my family. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just asking a question. That's all. Don't get so upset. You know, it's not good for you. Your Helmite's got to be very... quit calling me a Helmite. Okay. Whatever you say. Proof is in the pudding. Okay. This one is called sowing salt. Once there was a shortage of salt in Chelm. What to do? The townspeople thought and thought without resting night or day. Then the Rebbe, a mighty thinker, had a thought. Let us go out into the fields and let us sow salt. So the whole town went out to the fields carrying the last specks of salt they had. They went to work sowing the salt. And after they were done, the Rebbe said that he would stay in the field to guard the crop. At night, the Rebbe lay down to sleep. As he slept, a wolf came by and bit his head off. In the morning, the whole town turned out to see how the salt was doing. They found the headless Rebbe in the field and wondered where his head could be. They sent messengers to the Rebbe's wife with a question. Do you recall, did the Rebbe have a head or not? She said she couldn't remember. So, they went to the cantor of Chelm, who said he couldn't remember either. People gathered in clusters discussing whether the Rebbe had a head or not. Someone cried, he did. Others, he did not. They were about to come to blows when a man arrived from another town. What are you arguing about? He asked. And they told him about the salt and the Rebbe and the Rebbe's head. When he had heard the whole story, he said, if your Rebbe has prepared to sow salt, it's proof that he did not have a head. You can bury him without further ado. Oh, that's a smart guy, huh? Okay. This one has music in it. Of course, we don't have a fiddle to play the music. Okay, so we do the thing anyway. Okay, so this one is called Two Cows for a Melody. Once upon a time, there was a husband and wife who had two cows, one black and the other red. Oh, a red heifer. One day, the husband was driving his cows, towels, wows, whatever. He was driving them, whatever they were. He was driving his cows through town when he saw a man who was playing this melody on a fiddle. Okay, I don't have a fiddle and I don't play the fiddle, so I guess you'll just have to use your imagination. Okay, so he went up to the man and said, "Teach me how to play the melody." The fiddler said, "What will you give me if I do?" "Anything you want," said the man, "just as long as you teach me how to play it." And so the fiddler played. I don't have a fiddle. Okay, so just imagine he was playing the same melody that you were thinking about before. Okay. Then the man gave the fiddler his red cow, and the fiddler taught him how to play the tune. The man went on his way until he came to another fiddler who was playing this melody, which was a different melody. Okay, this one's 3 bars long, huh? The man went up to the fiddler and said, "Teach me the melody." The fiddler said, "And what will you give me if I do?" "I'll give you my black cow," said the man. So the fiddler taught him how to play it. When the man came home, his wife asked, "Schleppers, where is the red cow?" The man replied, "By playing the first song." Then she asked him, "Where is the black cow?" And the man replied, "By playing the second song." Okay, this would probably be a lot better if I had played the fiddle with it, but there you go. Okay. This one is, now we are done with Helm for the time being, okay? This one is called Freim Gradinger, the Magic Stick, and the Pot of Soup. And so we begin. Freim Gradinger, surely you know him. The Galatian wit journeyed once from village to village, trying to earn what he could. In the course of his travels, he came to an inn. There he asked the innkeeper's wife to give him something to eat. But she replied that she herself had nothing to eat. Bitter news, Freim thought, as he mulled over what to do about his empty stomach. Looking about, he saw, I should tell you that it was a Thursday. He saw some meat that was freshly killed, a freshly killed hen on a cutting board in the kitchen. Smiling, he said to himself, so that's how things are. Now that he knew who he was dealing with, he was ready to take her on. Picking up a stick, he toyed with it for a moment, and then he said, "Do you see this stick, men? With this stick and a pot of water, I could cook you a fine soup. The woman was instantly curious. What kind of stick is it? Oh, said Ephraim, with assumed naivete, if I stir a pot of water over a flame with this stick, I can cook up any sort of dish at all. The moment the woman heard this, she could think of nothing but the stick and how he would make a soup with it. She filled the pot with water, and Ephraim set it on top of the stove and started to stir it. He stirred and talked and stirred. It's an amazing stick, he said. Many's the time it has saved me from having to go to bed on an empty stomach. When the water in the pot had come to a boil, he said, Tell me, ma'am, would you happen to have a bone, some chicken giblets, and some salt? Of course, she said. What a question. And she handed him a fine marrow bone, some giblets, and salt. Freund put them in the pot and continued to stir. He talked and stirred. A moment later he said, Perhaps you have a carrot, some cabbage, or some groats? Some, said the woman. No need to be stingy with them. The Lord be thanked. I have a garden full of vegetables. With that, she handed him some groats and vegetables. Ephraim put them in the pot and stirred and talked and stirred. When he was done, Ephraim poured himself a bowl of soup. Tasting it, he smacked his lips with pleasure. Seeing that, the innkeeper's wife could hardly keep from drooling. Can I taste it? She asked. By all means, said Ephraim. He poured a bowlful for her and another one for himself. And even so, there was more left over. She tasted it and said, I have to admit that I haven't had such a fine soup in a long time. What a wonderful stick! Perhaps you'd like to sell it. Oh, heaven forbid, never. This stick was part of my inheritance. And yet, you're such a fine woman. You should have such a generous heart. Let's just suppose I could sell it. How much would you give? Let me see, said the innkeeper's wife. Would a ruble do? A ruble, said Ephraim. Heaven forbid, no, I won't sell it for money. Then what would you take? No money, that's for sure, said Ephraim firmly. Just think of it. Part of an inheritance that has come down to me through generations. Still, who knows? Perhaps, if you'll give me a freshly killed hen in addition to the ruble, I'll make you a present of this stick. Well, they arrived at a train. Ephraim hesitated for a moment, but finally he gave her the stick and returned home, carrying the fat hen for Shabbos and a ruble into the bargain. So there you go. Okay, so we have come to the end of our show. Don't forget to watch Rabbi Shlomo Nachman's broadcast at 9:30, where he is going to go to the Omer counting. And don't forget on Wednesday afternoon, I think Rabbi Shlomo has a show. And then this is going to be a good one. I don't want to miss this one. He is going to have a um, a kosher person on there, a mishgiach, who's going to talk about being what he is. Okay, so, and then on Wednesday evening is the last of the Torah studies for the summer with Rabbi A and Rebbe Reuven. And of course, this week is Shabbat Mevarachim. So Rabbi Shlomo will be doing Shabbat services this Shabbat. So, until the end of summer, my dear friends, I hope you have a wonderful summer. I hope you all keep safe. Don't get too sunburned. Don't have too much fun, but do have some fun. And we will be posting up pictures of what we are doing. And we hope to see pictures of what you are doing. Until the second week of September, we will say Laila Tov.